20 minutes before 9 o'clock, Mike Davis is founder of the Article 3 Project, former law clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch, former chief counsel for nominations for the United States Senate Committee on the Judiciary. This is a gentleman that knows what he's talking about. Mike, welcome back to the show. Thank you for taking the time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So can we go to Brooklyn? I know the Donald Trump lawyers are going to be in Brooklyn with the Department of Justice. And what do you think about this Justice Department, the Department DOJ's appeal over the classified documents? Give us the breakdown of all this. And the one question I have, Mike Davis, if I may, because they're saying, well, the president shouldn't have classified material. Is that first? Can we start there? Is that the law that the president can't? Because I thought Barack Obama, I thought Bill Clinton, I thought they all had classified material around their homes. Please.
They did, and President Trump had the absolute constitutional and statutory right to have all 11,000 of these documents in Mar-a-Lago that they unlawfully raided with a general warrant from a biased magistrate judge. The president has the absolute power as commander-in-chief to declassify anything he wants for any reason he wants in any manner he wants, and he doesn't have to get permission from the National Archives or any other bureaucrat who works for him to do this. And that's confirmed by a 1988 Supreme Court case, Department of the Navy versus Egan. And even if these records were not declassified, which they were, but even if they were not, under the Presidential Records Act, passed in 1978, applicable to every president starting in 1981, the president has the right to he has a right to his presidential records, and it is his sole determination whether a record is a personal record that belongs to him or a presidential record that belongs to the National Archives and then gets sent back to the president for him to put in his library. And records received by the president and his White House aides while he's president are considered presidential records. So classified records received by the president and his White House are presidential records to which the former president, is entitled, full access, unfettered. And the Congress gives former presidents federal staff with security clearances and secure office space called SCIFs and Secret Service protection to guard these paper records. This is not like Hillary Clinton's illegal home server when she was Secretary of State. She wasn't the president. She'll never be president. She had this illegal home server with our most classified secrets that was hacked by foreign governments. There was no charges filed against Hillary Clinton, but we're going to go after President Trump because he lawfully had records at Mar-a-Lago, and again, they were declassified, but it does not matter under the Presidential Records Act whether they're classified or declassified. This is a witch hunt, and the real reason that Biden ordered this unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful home raid on President Trump is because Trump declassified the Crossfire Hurricane Russian collusion records on January 19th, 2021 through a memo, a presidential memo. And those records, if they got out publicly, are so politically damaging to Obama, Biden, Hillary, the FBI, the intel community, because they show that they colluded to make up the Russian collusion allegations to get Trump to influence the 2016 election.
And Mike Davis, why do you think President Trump did not release that before the DOJ went in with the raid? He had the timeline, according to what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, sir. But I'm wondering why Donald Trump, if he had Crossfire Hurricane papers that indicted the DOJ and that whole fiasco, that embarrassing fiasco, why didn't he release that? Did he have the right to do that? What do you think the game plan was there, sir?
He should have released it, but the Justice Department convinced him and his chief of staff to wait until they did a Privacy Act review on these declassified documents before they were publicly released. And so Mark Meadows on January 20th, the White House chief of staff on January 20th, the day before the inauguration of President Biden, said, sure, go ahead and do your privacy review on these Crossfire Hurricane records, but get these out expeditiously. And, of course, the Biden Justice Department didn't do the review, and they didn't publicly release the records. Trump should have released them. I don't know why he didn't, but he should have released the records.
Yeah. And what's going to happen in Brooklyn today, Mike Davis, do you think?
Well, I think this Judge Deary is going to do what Judge Cannon has assigned him to do as a special master, and that's to try to get their arms around these 11,000 documents. Remember what happened. Let's step back. Okay. We've had constitutional executive privilege for 250 years, going back to George Washington, that protects the president and it protects his private, confidential conversations from his senior aides. And the reason we do this, we don't want his conversations to end up in Congress or in courts because we want the president to get candid advice from his advisors. And that has gone back 250 years. President Biden eviscerated constitutional executive privilege, purported to waive it on behalf of President Trump for many different things around January 6th, including for his top advisors like White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Senior Advisor Steve Bannon, Trade Director Peter Navarro, even White House counsel Pat Cipollone. And they've also waived executive privilege for these documents that were raided down in Mar-a-Lago. It's not lawful what Biden has done here. The Constitution gives the president executive privilege, and the next president can't just willy-nilly waive the former president's claim of executive privilege. Otherwise, we don't have executive privilege. And so all these 11,000 documents need to go through various reviews, one for executive privilege, one for presidential records, and another for personal records like attorney-client privilege, health records, tax records. And the Biden Justice Department went to this biased magistrate judge, Bruce Reinhart, who just recused from Trump's civil lawsuit versus Hillary Clinton on Russian collusion based upon his 2017 Facebook post, and they got this illegal general warrant, unprecedented raid, a home raid on a former president. So that's what this judge needs to do, is sort through these 11,000 documents, because this magistrate judge violated the law, violated the Constitution by ordering this home raid, and this is a fix for that violation.
So what this is what I fear, Mike, and we appreciate your expertise on all of this. This is what if they're going to find something. They're going to find something. And we talked to a lot of legal experts on the show, and they say they're going to find something and they're going to, quote unquote, indict. It won't be, it'll be wrong. It'll probably be illegal. You know Donald Trump's going to get out of it because he always does. They've been trying. I don't think they will get him on this, but they want that indictment. They want that Steve Bannon perp walk, and it makes me literally, just as a personal note, nauseous that they utilize their power, their great power that they have in the Department of Justice or an attorney general in New York, for example, to do a perp walk just for political purposes, for political purposes like a banana republic. Do you think we see Donald Trump handcuffed and walked in a perp walk over something that would be a little nuance that really isn't legally correct to do, but we'll go after him anyway?
Well, I would say that I think going into this home raid, the Biden Justice Department was so confident that they were going to get Trump, and I don't think they anticipated the political blowback. If this thing is not decided correctly down in the Southern District of Florida with reasonable, fair judges like Judge Cannon and reasonable, fair judges on the 11th Circuit through the civil process, it very well could end up in the 95% Democrat-dominated and 5% Trump-deranged D.C. jury pool with the Trump-deranged and Democrat judges, and then it goes up to the D.C. Circuit with the left-wing judicial activist who President Obama put on the D.C. Circuit. So then the Supreme Court will have to come in and fix this. And the Supreme Court will have to fix this, and they will fix this. And I would not be surprised if fair-minded justices, even like Justice Kagan, understand how damaging this is to the presidency. This is so much bigger than President Trump.
And does the president have a right to ask for change of venue, change of court, knowing how prejudiced the D.C. courts are, sir?
He can ask for it, but it's unlikely he'll get it because the D.C. judge would have to decide that. And there's no way that D.C. judge is going to let this go to a fair jury pool somewhere else in the country. President Trump needs to win this civil lawsuit against the Biden regime through Judge Cannon and the 11th Circuit. That's critical.
And this judge, and with what Deary's doing, that could slow down, if not stop, the DOJ, yes?
Well, I mean, it should stop the DOJ because they did not have the right to these records at all. And so what should happen is they should renew their Rule 41G motion under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure to get back all 11,000 of these documents based upon this unlawful home raid. They do not. That the Biden Justice Department is not entitled to these documents. President Trump is 100% absolutely entitled to every one of these documents under the Presidential Records Act.
Mike Davis, what a great chat, and thanks for having the courage to speak the truth. The leak from the Supreme Court, before we let you go quickly, if I may, Mike Davis, the leak from the Supreme Court, where? What happened? Nothing? We're not hearing about that? They did it for political purposes, the Sam Alito opinion to come out on abortion. It didn't stop abortion, just handed it down to the states, and the Democrats ran with that. That was leaked on purpose. Where's Justice Roberts on this?
That's a good question, and just imagine if Trump supporters were protesting outside of Justice Kagan or Justice Sotomayor or Justin Jackson's homes, just imagine what would happen.
Exactly. Mike, well said, well spoken, and very, very much well researched. We appreciate that more than we could tell you, sir. I'll come back soon, Mike, anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Davis, he's the founder of Article 3